Hi everyone, welcome to the Dyslexia and Academic Success Back to School webinar series. The webinar is going to be hosted by me. I'm James Porter. I'm Community Manager here at the Tutor Crowd. I'll be the one asking the questions. The two main presenters are Stephen and Patrick. Both presenters are dyslexic themselves, so we're hoping for a really insightful interactive webinar series from people who've dealt with dyslexia their whole life. Stephen is a published dyslexia author. He blogs at dyslexiawayofthinking.co.uk, and he also hosts the biggest dyslexia group on Facebook as well. Patrick is an ex-teacher and dyslexia tutor, and he's now CEO of the Tutor Crowd. Moving on, why is understanding your dyslexia, therefore, so important? Stephen, I'd like to ask you that question.
Okay, understanding dyslexia, I think, is a very important issue for dyslexics. For example, if you have a problem and you don't know how to solve it, you keep on going in circles. And unfortunately, dyslexics have this in the classroom. They know they have struggling with reading and writing. They know they think differently, they approach us differently to thinking and studying, but they don't actually know how to get around the obstacles. And I'm a big believer in whatever age group you are, if you're not assessed for dyslexia, you think you might have dyslexia, you should still research, one, the theory of what it is, and then secondly, yourself. Because, as Patrick said, every dyslexic is different. It's not just the issues of reading and writing. They might have a higher or lower reading ability, but they think differently. And everyone has a different style of working and studying. So what comes best to you? What do you find easier? So I think it's very important that dyslexics are taught to understand dyslexia as a positive, so it helps with their self-acceptance and understanding of their problems and hopefully their achievements.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question, and I think, it's interesting to see how it goes right and how it goes wrong. I think not understanding dyslexia, if a student doesn't understand what dyslexia is, he or she might find it a slightly soul-destroying process. If from a student's point of view, if they're experiencing that they are weaker at reading, they're slow at learning how to write, they've got problems in processing, and they also witness students around them finding it an easier process, they will come to a rationalization. I think this rationalization is incorrect, but they usually come to it that they have low ability. I don't consider it to be a low ability. I consider it to be a different type of ability. I'm a dyslexic myself. I've got different abilities than non-dyslexics. But I think unless they get some sort of proper understanding of what dyslexia is and how to work with dyslexia, they're going to come to some sort of conclusion that they are not bright and that they are not capable of learning. And that's for me a tragic thing. And, if you look at, they say at least 50% of prisoners are dyslexic, and you could say that's when it went wrong. That's when they kind of gave up on learning, and that's when they kind of made some other choices based on what they knew at that point in time. So I think it's a critical point of understanding your dyslexia and understanding how to work with it.
Great, thanks, Patrick. And I think we're all clear that understanding dyslexia is incredibly important. What advice would you give to a parent or teacher, or perhaps even a student at this stage, about this issue? What should they do as an actionable strategy?
For me, I think it's an important one. For me, there's not a quick fix. Number one, all dyslexics is going to be different. Some are going to have problems with reading, some are going to have problems with writing, some are going to have problems with both, or some are going to have problems with processing. It will require, research. It will require dedication. It will require a lot of thought and a lot of, working out the best thing to do. If you think about a traditional educational system, it's not geared towards the dyslexic, and so therefore it's worth going to these webinars. It's worth having a look at. Stephen's got some fantastic articles on his website. We've got a lot of blogging about dyslexia and researching elsewhere. but getting a study plan and get a study plan in place for dyslexia.
Okay, great. And I think that's something we're going to talk about and cover in much more detail in subsequent webinars.
Absolutely, yeah.